Well, hello there, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for this week's reflection. I'm Susan Short, and I serve as the Director of Music Ministries at College Lutheran Church located in Salem, Virginia. And I do hope that you're making plans to join us for worship this Sunday as we not only celebrate the fourth Sunday after Pentecost, but also Father's Day. I took a moment this week to talk to our data analyst. You know him as Pastor Drebus. And I asked him the question, how many times does the word Father appear in the title of hymns that are listed in our Lutheran Book of Worship, the Green Hymnal? So take a moment to think about it. Is it more than 10? More than 20? More than 30? Actually, he found 22 matches in one of his databases. So to no surprise, the processional hymn we will sing together on Sunday is the Navy hymn, Eternal Father, Strong to Save. And you can find it in the LBW, and it's hymn number 467. It has significance for many in our congregation. Several of our congregational family members are currently serving or are veterans of the Navy. We continue to give them great thanks for their service. And I've heard this hymn played and sung so many times and am reminded of the funeral service conducted at Grace Lutheran Church in Winchester soon after the tragedies of September 11th. Members of our Grace congregation, a recently retired Rear Admiral and his wife, were killed in the plane that crashed into the Pentagon. The service was attended by hundreds of mourners, and I still get goosebumps thinking about this hymn and the magnificent sound of voices in the sanctuary, particularly those that were representing the United States Navy. Majestic and moving in every way. You'll find a recording of the hymn in this week's reflection, and I do hope that you take a moment or two to listen to it. The hymn is performed by the U.S. Navy Band Sea Chanters at the commemoration of the 59th anniversary of the Korean War Armistice at Arlington National Cemetery on July 27, 2012. So let's take a moment to learn just a little bit more about this hymn. The original hymn was penned in 1860 by William Whiting, an Anglican churchman from Winchester, United Kingdom. Whiting grew up near the shores of England and at the age of 35 had felt his life saved by God when a fierce storm nearly destroyed the ship he was traveling on, instilling a faith in God's control over the rage and the calm of the sea. As headmaster of the Winchester College Chorister School some years later, he was approached by a student about to travel to the United States who expressed to Whiting a tremendous fear of the ocean voyage. Whiting shared his experiences of the ocean and wrote the hymn to anchor his faith. Whiting is commonly believed to have been inspired by Psalm 107, which describes the power and danger of the seas in great detail. Psalm 107, verses 23 to 32. Some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the mighty waters. They saw the deeds of the Lord, his wondrous works in the deep. For he commanded and raised the stormy wind which lifted up the waves of the sea. They mounted up to the heaven, they went down to the depths. Their courage melted away in their calamity. They reeled and staggered like drunkards and were at their wits' end. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he brought them out from their distress. He made the storm be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were glad because they had quiet, and he brought them to their desired haven. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to humankind. Let them extol him in the congregation of the people, and praise him in the assembly of the elders. John Dykes composed the tune Melita for Whiting's text in 1861. It is believed the Melita was the island where Paul shipwrecked and was referred to in Acts 28, verse 1, and a fitting name for a tune associated with a text about safety on the sea. This hymn was popularized by the Royal Navy and the United States Navy in the late 19th century. Services who have adopted the hymn include the Royal Marines, the Royal Air Force, the British Army, the United States Coast Guard, and the United States Marine Corps, as well as many navies of the British Commonwealth. Correspondingly, it is known by many titles, periodically referred to as the Hymn of Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the Royal Navy Hymn, the United States Navy hymn, or just the Navy hymn, and sometimes by the last line of its first verse, for those in peril on the sea. Well, thanks again for joining me for this week's reflection, and I look forward to worshiping alongside of you this Sunday in the sanctuary. Our service will begin at 10 a.m.